I would say that I would have never even opened the store if it wasn't for Chip. The idea that he said, "What are your dreams?" And I told him I'd love to own my own business one day. And a month later, I was owning my own business because he was like, "Well, what are you waiting for?" So he pushed me.
It was a bit sad in that way. Let me jump in real quick. She had this whole book, a notebook full of businesses that she would hypothetically start one day. And I was like, babe, what is going on? I've never even heard of anything like this. In the Gaines family, where I came from, you thought of a business idea, you started it, and then when it failed, you wrote down the reasons that it didn't make it in this book. You know, it's obvious. She went and wrote down all these concepts in advance and then thought about starting the business like later. And it turns out, I learned later that was called a business plan. But, you know, neither here nor there. I was pretty fascinated by this woman's elaborate thought process, but to no avail. You know, she actually had not started any of these deals. So I told her, I said, pick one of those and you better get after it.
So our first year of marriage, that first month, we were renovating the shop and our first home together. So we were open 2 or 3 years, and that's really where I just kind of gained this passion for design, helping people in their homes. And then, you know, a couple babies later, I just felt like it was time to regroup, stay home, and kind of focus on our growing family. And then, I think 2013, so years later, now all of our kids were in school. We drove by this lot that had 2 huge abandoned silos. It was this old grain mill. And drove by it, and there was something in me that kept saying, turn around. So when I turned around, I literally got out of the car and stood there and started seeing this kind of business play out, which was a big dream. It was moving our retail there, food trucks, you name it, just everything out there, almost like this big theme park for adults who love really pretty things for their home. I don't know. And so when I brought Chip by there, he was thinking, you know, maybe I had lost my mind now, which I had done this now for 11, 12 years and was on this side of it.
Our first 3 flip homes, literally, and I mean, she never got out of this. I would buy a flip, she would come, she would bawl her eyes out, we would sell the flips, we'd make a little bit of money. And so you'd think after a couple of these, you'd be like, okay, well, I don't have to cry at the beginning. You know, I mean, this is going to work. The 3rd one, cry. 5th one, cry.
They were bad.
I remember when she drove me by those silos and I cried like a baby. I was like, oh, this is going to bankrupt us for sure. There's no chance that this is going to work.
But in all honesty, he's the one that, you know, I started thinking when I stood there, I was really passionate. I was excited about it. Then the more I start thinking about it, the more I'm like, I don't want to take that risk. And that's where, of course, he jumps in and says, let's go for it. And now, you know, last weekend we just celebrated 3 years there. Just seeing people come from all over.
That's awesome.
To enjoy it is literally a dream come true.